At my parents' 40th anniversary party, the one I secretly paid for, they played a slideshow. Every family member got a glowing title. My older sister was our shining star. My brother was the comeback kid. My cousin got most likely to make us proud. When my photo came up, the screen read, "Still single, still searching, but we love her anyway." The whole room laughed. 63 people. I counted. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I walked to the gift table, picked up the ivory envelope I'd placed there an hour earlier, the one with their names written in gold calligraphy, and I tore it in half right there in front of everyone. Then I walked out. 20 minutes later, my mother called me 17 times. Because someone had finally opened what was left of that envelope, and what they found inside changed everything. But let me go back. I should probably start with the part where I booked the entire venue. The Whitmore Estate, just outside Savannah. 3 acres of manicured gardens, a ballroom with floor-to-ceiling windows, string lights draped across the courtyard like something out of a magazine. My parents had always talked about that place. Every anniversary, my mom would sigh and say, "Maybe one day." So I made it happen. I called 6 months in advance, put down a $14,000 deposit, hired the caterer, the florist, the photographer, the DJ. I even flew in my parents' college friends from Oregon. Total cost, just north of $47,000. Nobody knew. That was the point. I told my sister I'd chip in, and she ran with it, told everyone she organized the whole thing. I let her. I didn't need the credit. I just wanted to see my parents happy. That was supposed to be enough. The slideshow was my sister Jeanette's idea. She called it a family love letter. Each slide had a photo, a title, and a short caption. She spent weeks on it, apparently. My brother Kevin helped pick the music. Even my aunt contributed photos. Everyone was involved except me. I found out about it when the projector flickered on and the first slide appeared. Dad, the anchor, Mom, the heart, Jeanette, our shining star lawyer, Mother, Queen, Kevin, the comeback kid, stronger than ever. Then came the cousins, the aunts, the uncles, warm, generous, flattering. And then mine, a photo from 3 Thanksgivings ago. I looked tired in it because I was. I had just closed a deal that saved my company from going under, but nobody in that room knew that. The title faded in slowly. Still single, still searching, but we love her anyway. The laughter hit me like a wave. Not cruel, exactly. More like familiar. Comfortable. Like they'd been laughing at this version of me for so long, it barely registered as an insult anymore. My mother covered her mouth, giggling. My dad shook his head with that half smile he does. The one that says, "What are we going to do with her?" Jeanette winked at me from across the room like she'd just delivered the world's most affectionate roast. I stood there, wine glass in hand, smile frozen in place. 63 people saw that slide. 63 people looked at me and saw exactly what my family wanted them to see. The odd one out, the one who hadn't figured it out yet, the charity case with a good heart but no direction. None of them knew I owned a software company. None of them knew I had just been featured in a list of under 5 founders reshaping the logistics industry. None of them knew that the venue they were standing in, the champagne they were drinking, the band playing my parents' wedding song, all of it came from my account. Every single cent. And standing there, holding my glass, watching them laugh, something in me just clicked off. Not anger. Something quieter. Like a door closing so softly you almost don't hear it. But once it's shut, you know it's not opening again. I set my glass down, walked to the gift table, found the ivory envelope, and I tore it apart without a word. Jeanette saw me first. What is that?" I didn't answer. I placed the torn halves neatly on the table, straightened my dress, and walked toward the exit. My mother called after me. My dad stood up. Kevin muttered something I couldn't hear. But I was already through the garden, already past the string lights and the laughter and the version of me they refused to let go of. I got in my car, turned the key, and sat there in the dark for a long time. Here's what they didn't know yet. That envelope contained 3 documents. The first was a notarized letter from my attorney confirming that I had paid off my parents' mortgage in full. Their house, the one my dad almost lost twice, was free and clear. The second was a business formation agreement, a partnership offer for Jeanette to open the bakery she'd been dreaming about since college, fully funded, no strings. The third was a rehabilitation and relocation package for Kevin, a private treatment center in Colorado, an apartment waiting for him afterward, a job referral with one of my clients. I had spent 4 months putting it all together. I hired a calligrapher for the envelope. I chose ivory because it was my mother's favorite color. I had even rehearsed what I would say when they opened it. Something simple, like, "You gave me life. Let me give something back." Instead, I gave them a torn envelope and a closing door. To understand why that slideshow broke something in me, you'd have to understand what it was like growing up in my family. Not the version they tell at parties. The real one. I was the middle child technically, but functionally I was invisible. Jeanette was the golden girl. Valedictorian, law school, married a dentist named Craig, 2 kids by 30. She had the kind of life our parents could brag about at church, and they did, constantly. Kevin was the baby. He struggled, sure. Dropped out of college, got into debt, bounced between jobs. But somehow, his failures made him more lovable in their eyes. "He's finding himself," Mom would say. "He just needs support," Dad would add. Meanwhile, I was just there. Not failing spectacularly enough to need saving. Not succeeding visibly enough to earn praise. I existed in the middle, and in my family, the middle was a blind spot. When I was 14, I won a regional science competition. I came home buzzing, trophy in hand, waiting for the reaction. My dad glanced at it and said, "That's nice, sweetheart. Can you help your brother with his math homework?" When I was 19, I got into Georgia Tech on a partial scholarship. My mom's response was, "That's great, but Jeanette just made law review." When I was 23 and launched my first software product out of a studio apartment in Atlanta, working 16-hour days on 3 hours of sleep, my family's biggest concern was why I hadn't brought a date to Thanksgiving. It wasn't hate. That's what made it so hard to name. It was something softer and more suffocating than hate. It was disregard dressed up as love. It was being looked through while being told you were seen. It was hearing we're so proud of all our kids and knowing, in your gut, that all didn't really include you. So I stopped trying to be seen by them, and I started building. By 26, my company had its first major contract. By 28, we had 40 employees and a wait list of clients. By 30, I quietly crossed the 7-figure mark in personal savings. I told no one in my family, not because I was hiding it, but because I already knew what would happen. Jeanette would find a way to minimize it. Kevin would ask for money. My parents would say something like, "That's wonderful, honey, but don't forget what really matters." And the thing is, I did know what really mattered. That's exactly why I started helping them. It began with Kevin. He owed $11,000 to a credit card company that was threatening legal action. I paid it off anonymously through a third-party service. He never found out. Then Jeanette. Her firm downsized and she lost her position for 3 months. I covered her mortgage through an arrangement with her bank. She thought it was a payment deferral program. And my parents, their furnace broke 2 winters ago. The repair estimate was $9,000. A mystery donor from their church covered it. That was me too. I wrote a check to the church with a note asking them not to reveal the source. Over 3 years, I estimate I quietly spent over $200,000 keeping my family afloat. They never suspected a thing. Or if they did, they never said so. And not once, not a single time, did anyone in that family look at me and wonder if maybe, just maybe, I was doing better than they assumed. That's what the slideshow confirmed. After everything, after years of invisible generosity, they still saw me as the punchline, the one who hadn't figured out her life. Still single, still searching. So I tore the envelope, and I left. The fallout started within the hour. My phone lit up like a switchboard. First, it was my mother. 12 missed calls. Then Jeanette. Then Kevin. Then people I hadn't spoken to in years. Cousins, family friends, my aunt in Virginia. I didn't pick up. I drove to my apartment, poured a glass of water, sat on the kitchen floor, and just breathed. The texts came in waves. "Mom, where did you go? Everyone's worried. Please call me. Jeanette. That was really dramatic. You could have just said you were upset. Kevin. Yo, what was in that envelope?" Mom's freaking out. Then, 2 hours later, the tone shifted. Someone had pieced together the torn pages. Probably my father. He was always the careful one. Mom, call me now. Your father found something. We need to talk. Kevin. Wait. Did you actually pay off the house? Is that real? Jeanette, I don't understand. Why didn't you just tell us? Because telling you was the whole point, I thought. The envelope was me telling you. The party was me telling you. Every silent payment, every anonymous check that was me, screaming into a void shaped like my family, hoping someone would hear. But I didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, I called my assistant. She answered on the second ring. You okay? I need the backup copies of the documents, I said. And the feature. Is it still going live this week? Thursday, she said. Incorporated magazine. They loved the founder profile angle. Good. Don't change anything. Here's what my family didn't know. 3 months before the party, a journalist from Incorporated magazine had contacted me for a piece on self-made female founders under 35. During the interview, she asked about my background, my motivation, what drove me. I told her the truth, not the dramatic version, just the facts. That I came from a family that never really saw me, that I built my company partly to prove something to myself and partly to help the people who never thought I could, that I had been secretly funding my family's life for years, and that I was about to reveal it all at a party I was throwing for their anniversary. She asked if she could include that detail. I said yes. At the time, I imagined it would be the beautiful ending to the story the moment they finally understood. Instead, it became the moment the world understood, and my family had to watch. The article went live on a Thursday morning. It was tasteful, measured, not designed to embarrass anyone. But the facts spoke for themselves. The mortgage payments, the debt relief, the bakery offer, the rehab package, all of it was documented, verified, time-stamped. And the slideshow moment was mentioned briefly, not as drama, but as context. The moment she realized her family might never see her the way she needed them to. Within 48 hours, the article had over 2 million views. Someone shared it on Twitter with the caption, "She paid for everything and they called her a joke." Read this and tell me, family always comes first. It went viral. My inbox exploded. Messages from strangers, from old classmates, from people I hadn't thought about in years. Most of them said some version of the same thing. I've been there. Thank you for walking away. And then came my family's response. Jeanette posted a long Instagram story. She didn't mention the article directly, but the subtext was clear. Funny how some people rewrite history to make themselves the hero. Family isn't perfect, but airing dirty laundry for attention is a choice. She got maybe 40 likes. Then someone screenshot the article in her comments, and it became a mess. Kevin went a different route. He texted me directly. You really had to tell the whole world, huh? You couldn't just talk to us like a normal person? This is why nobody takes you seriously. Nobody takes me seriously. Even now. Even after everything. My parents released a joint statement through my aunt's Facebook. I wish I were kidding. It read, "Our family is going through a difficult time. We love all our children and we ask for privacy as we work through this privately." They tagged Jeanette and Kevin. They didn't tag me. But the thing about truth is, it doesn't need your family's permission to exist. People were already finding the receipts. Someone dug up an old Facebook post where my mom complained about ungrateful kids who don't call enough, posted the same month I had secretly covered their property taxes. Someone found a podcast Kevin did 6 months earlier where he joked about his sister still trying to figure out adulting. The internet has a long memory and very little patience for hypocrisy. Jeanette's husband Craig called me. That surprised me. We were never close, but he'd always been decent to me. Quiet, polite, the kind of guy who noticed things but didn't say much. "I just want you to know," he said. I told her the slideshow was a bad idea. She didn't listen. And for what it's worth, I've always known you were the one holding this family together. I'm sorry it took all this for everyone else to see it. That phone call meant more to me than any article ever could. Over the next few weeks, the fallout hit each of them differently. Jeanette's firm caught wind of the situation. She wasn't fired, but she was asked to step back from client-facing roles while things cooled down. A partner at the firm told her it wasn't a great look, being publicly exposed as someone who took credit for a party she didn't pay for and mocked the sister who did. Craig moved out shortly after. "Not because of me," he said, but because the way Jeanette handled the aftermath revealed something he'd been ignoring for a long time. Kevin had been trying to build a personal brand as a motivational speaker. Small gigs, local stuff, nothing huge. But after the article, 2 event organizers canceled on him. One of them sent a note saying, "We can't platform someone whose public story contradicts the values we promote." He spiraled for a while after that. I heard he was drinking again, but I couldn't verify it and didn't try to. My parents tried to refinance the house. The bank declined. Without the monthly transfers I'd been quietly sending, their income-to-debt ratio didn't work. My dad called me once, not to apologize, but to ask if I still had the original documents. I told him the offer expired the moment the envelope was torn. There was a silence on the line that lasted maybe 10 seconds. Then he hung up. That was the last time we spoke. It would be easy to say I felt nothing, but that's not true. I felt everything. I felt the grief of losing a family I never really had. I felt the relief of no longer pretending. I felt the strange, disorienting freedom of waking up in the morning without checking my phone to see if they'd finally said something kind. They hadn't. They wouldn't. And for the first time, that was okay. I started therapy. Not because I was broken, but because I wanted to make sure I stayed whole. My therapist said something during our 3rd session that I still think about. You spent 30 years auditioning for a role they never intended to cast you in. The bravest thing you did wasn't tearing up that envelope. It was leaving the theater. Months passed. I traveled, took my team on a retreat to Costa Rica, started mentoring young women in tech through a foundation I launched with a portion of the Incorporated. Magazine publicity. I named it Ivory Envelope partly as a reminder, partly because I wanted something beautiful to come out of something painful. Then one evening, maybe 8 months later, I got a DM from a woman I'd never met. Her profile picture was a sunset. Her message was one paragraph. "Hi. You don't know me, but I read your story in January, and I haven't stopped thinking about it. I'm 28. My family treats me the same way yours treated you. Last month I bought my mom a car, and she told my brother it was from the dealership's loyalty program. She couldn't even say my name. I've been thinking about walking away, but I was scared it meant I failed. Your story showed me it doesn't. It means I'm finally choosing myself. Thank you." I sat with that message for a long time. I didn't cry. I just sat there, phone in hand, feeling the weight of it settle into my chest. Not heavy, just real. I wrote back, "You didn't fail. You graduated." An update. It's been almost 2 years now. I don't hear from my family anymore. Jeanette sent a birthday card last April. No note inside, just her signature. Kevin posted a throwback photo of us as kids once, captioned, "Miss the old days." I didn't respond. My mom texts me on holidays. Short messages. Generic. "Merry Christmas. Love, Mom." No calls, no real conversations. My dad hasn't reached out at all. Sometimes I wonder if they've changed, if they tell the story differently now, if they sit at that same dinner table and feel the empty chair, or if they've simply found a new version of events where I'm still the problem, just in a different way. Last week, I was at a conference in Austin. A woman walked up to me during the coffee break, mid-30s, sharp blazer, warm smile. She said, "Are you the envelope girl?" I laughed, really laughed. "Yeah," I said, "that's me." She told me she'd read the article when it first came out. Said she'd been the invisible one in her family too. The one who gave and never got seen. She said she finally set boundaries last year, stopped funding her brother's lifestyle, stopped pretending her parents' jokes didn't sting. "It was the hardest thing I've ever done," she said. "But I sleep through the night now." We talked for almost an hour. 2 strangers in a convention center, trading stories about the families we lost and the lives we chose instead. Walking back to my hotel that night, I passed a boutique with a window display of custom t-shirts. I stopped and stared at them for a moment, then smiled. Because for the longest time, I believed that walking away from family meant something was wrong with me, that I was the disappointment they always said I was, that love meant enduring whatever they gave me and calling it enough. But it wasn't enough. It was never enough. And leaving wasn't failure. It was the first honest thing I ever did. So, if you're out there right now, standing in a room full of people who are supposed to love you, holding a shirt or a label or a joke that cuts deeper than they'll ever admit, know this. You're allowed to set it down. You're allowed to walk away. And you're allowed to stop auditioning for people who were never going to clap. Did I go too far? Or not far enough? Tell me in the comments. And if this story stayed with you, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.